So today we're going to be breaking down UFC 317 in these different categories. Starting off with my most anticipated fight, an underrated banger, my underdog pick of the card, my lock of the card, and finally rounding it off with a prospect to watch. So starting off with my most anticipated fight. Look, it is basic, but it is the main event. Look, this is one of my most anticipated fights of the year. Ilia Tapora taking on Charles Oliveira. Now, it isn't the fight that everybody wanted, including myself. I really wanted to see Ilia versus Makhachev, but in my opinion, this is the next best thing. And now that we are extremely close, we are 1 day away from the event, I cannot wait to see Ilia Tapora take on Charles Oliveira. Both guys stylistically always deliver inside of the octagon. They always deliver fun, exciting fights, and I think both Tapora and Oliveira's style will gel really well in there, and I expect a finish in this fight regardless of who wins. If it's Ilia, if it's Charles Oliveira, this fight will not go the distance in my opinion. There is guaranteed to be a finish in this fight. I am going to go for Ilia Tapora though. Obviously, the press conference happened yesterday. There wasn't much to talk about, so there was no point making a video on that. I hate the fact that they're now buddy-buddy. Like, before this fight was announced, there was a bit of beef between both guys online, and now you've got them hugging each other in the sauna, and then you've got Ilia Tapora on stage at the face-off with them going, "I didn't want it to be you, man. I'm so sorry it's you, man. I apologize. I didn't realize it was going to be you." Yo, can we go back to the days of beef in the UFC? I don't want friendship in this sport. Yeah? I want bad blood. I want DC Jones. I want McGregor Habib. I want heat. I want beef. I want to be interested. Like, do these guys not understand they have a pay-per-view to sell? Now, obviously, hypothetically, in different scenarios, I'm not one of these people, Dana White, but most of the people don't buy pay-per-views anymore. They use different sites. I am not one of them. I've got my hands up. I buy it every single time. I love the fact it's like $80-something. I appreciate that. I'm so glad it's that price range. It's so affordable for everybody, and the cards are always worth the money. But yeah, Ilia's going to beat him. I don't see a path to victory for Oliveira, to be honest. I think Ilia's boxing is too slick for him. I think he chews up Oliveira's lead leg. I don't think Oliveira is going to be able to get the grappling off on Ilia Tapora. I don't think his style of grappling, he's not your traditional single leg, double leg type of guy. He likes to work to a body lock, get a trip from there, sweep from there. And it's just not going to happen, in my opinion. And his come forward style is just going to benefit Ilia Tapora. Now, Oliveira, like, in terms of, what's the word I'm looking for? Physical features, in terms of his length, pause, and the size of him, really, he has all the keys to beating Oliveira if he was able to work off the back foot and pump out that jab and stay long and keep with his lateral movement and don't let Tapora pin him down. But that's not Oliveira's style. Oliveira is going to look to come forward, and he is going to meet Tapora in the middle. And unfortunately for Charles Oliveira, meeting Ilia Tapora in the middle will only lead to one thing, and that is him on his back, looking up at the lights as Ilia Tapora will be declared the new UFC lightweight champion. Now, just a side note, does this mean Ilia Tapora is the first ever person to hold 3 belts in the UFC? Now, I know he's technically not the BMF champion, but featherweight champion, he beat Max Holloway, who was the BMF champ. And if he wins the lightweight belt, could be the first guy in UFC history to hold 3 individual belts, if we're going to allow it. Moving on to an underrated banger. Look, this fight is going under the radar in my opinion. Jack Hermanson versus Gregory Rodriguez. This will be extremely fun. Now, obviously, Jack Hermanson has been MIA for a while after he fraud-checked Joe Pyfer, and Gregory Rodriguez had a good early performance against Jared Cannonier, but unfortunately gassed himself out and did get finished in that fight. Look, this is a 3-rounder, and in my predictions, I am favouring Gregory Rodriguez in that. I think this will be a fun fight while it lasts. I think especially early on it will be Gregory Rodriguez just dominating the fight, landing big shots on Jack Hermanson, who actually is pretty durable in his own right. Not the craziest chin, he's not fucking ogre Marvin Vettori, but he can take a good shot. We've seen that before. But I just think it's going to be really fun because if Gregory Rodriguez doesn't get Jack Hermanson out of there early, he's going to put a bad beating on him early anyway, and then he's going to gas out because look at the fucking size of him, and then that's where Jack Hermanson, who isn't a big puncher, but is then going to get his stuff off. So I think this is probably going to end up being fight of the night, in my opinion. I think this will be a really, really fun fight, and a fight that is going under the radar. Honestly, should be on the main card over Peyton Talbot and Lima, but we know Peyton Talbot. Is he still a big star? I don't know. The UFC are still pushing him as one, so we'll go for that. Let's go for that. Moving on, underdog pick. It is Beneil Dariush. Now, this might be slight delusion on my behalf because I have picked Beneil Dariush in his last 2 fights that he lost. Yes, I picked Beneil to beat Charles Oliveira.
Huh?
I really believed it at the time. I thought this guy, he was on a crazy run at the time. I thought his grappling style, we know Oliveira struggles with high-level wrestlers because when he gets taken down, he spends too long off his back, and with that fight being 3 rounds, I just thought it was shaping up to be a Beneil Dariush win, especially after him coming off that Gamrot win. But he is on a 2-fight losing streak. His last 2 fights he got finished in the first round, so things aren't looking good for Beneil Dariush, and he's getting up there in age now, but he's still my boy. I believe Beneil Dariush will beat Moicano. Look, Moicano is coming off that loss to Makhachev, but let's just scrap that. I mean, let's just move on from that. There wasn't really much to go off. The one before that, Benoit St. Denis, a lot of people are looking through that with tinted glasses, in my opinion. He absolutely butchered Benoit St. Denis in the first round, really badly damaged him. But then in round 2 on the feet, Benoit St. Denis was making it competitive with him. And I know Beneil Dariush and Benoit St. Denis have different styles, but that is more catered towards Beneil Dariush, who isn't just, if he can't get butterfly hooks, he isn't going to get you off him. Beneil Dariush is a really good wrestler, a really good scrambler as well. Got a really hard rear back kick. He is a southpaw as well. And that really big left overhand shot, really big. What am I, like fucking 5 years of age describing that? But you know what I mean. It's big left overhand that he's able to land. He is pretty slow on the feet, don't get me wrong. But Moicano isn't this like fucking fast twitch wizard either. Do you know what I mean? He's there to be hit. Both guys, I'm not going to say chinny. Beneil Dariush is the more chinnier one out of them, but Moicano isn't a big puncher, although we didn't think Arman was a big puncher, and look what happened to him. But I just think Beneil Dariush is going to do well here. The time out of the cage is going to really benefit him, in my opinion. He's had this camp. Obviously, he got his money for it last time around in January when he was meant to fight him. Then he's went right back into camp for the same guy, so I'm sure he's had a lot of good preparation in the sparring department as well. I think he's going to be able to nullify Moicano's grappling. He might struggle with the volume on the feet of Moicano. Moicano isn't a big volume puncher, but Beneil isn't either. But I think Beneil Dariush, I think he beats him by decision, or I could actually see a stoppage for Beneil Dariush. I'm not even joking. I'm not even lying. Underdog pick for sure is Beneil Dariush. Lock of the card is Pantoja. Look, I have been on here time and time again saying that I think Carr stylistically gives him his toughest test, and I do still believe that. He's a big puncher, a better striker than what Pantoja is. He's got really good balance and good takedown defense. He has all the tools to beat a Pantoja, but this current version of Pantoja, no flyweight's beating him. I'm just going to be upfront and frank about it. Nobody is going to beat him. He's really improved on his striking. If you go back and watch their first fight, which was years ago, so you can't really take much into it, a lot has changed. But Carr done a lot better in the grappling than I expected, and Pantoja done a lot better on the feet than what I expected. I think body kicks are going to be a big part to play for Pantoja in this matchup. I think he will have to come over adversity in this fight. Carr is probably the biggest puncher in the flyweight division, but this guy is made out of fucking granite. Flint and steel. This guy he just can't be knocked out, let's just be honest. Granite chin. And I just think he's going to come under adversity early on, but I think his forward pressure, his kicks, the amount of scrambling that he's going to make Carr do, I think he is going to slowly but surely overwhelm him with the grappling as the fight goes on. And I think Pantoja, I'd maybe do the double here of a Pantoja sub or decision. That's how I see him getting the job done here. But this is my lock of the card. I am extremely confident in Pantoja. And finally, my prospect of the card to watch is Jacob Smith. This guy's currently 10-0 in his professional MMA career. He is 1-0 in the UFC. Obviously, he did get his contract on the Contender Series. He's going in there against Nico Price. He's a big puncher, so he is, if I remember correctly. He's got like 8 wins. 8 out of his 10 wins come by way of KO in his MMA career. Nico Price is on the end of his career, for being honest. I think Jacob Smith is just good everywhere, and I think he comfortably gets Nico Price out of there in the first round. So UFC 317 is tomorrow night. Let me know your predictions in the comments below, and as always, thank you for the support, and I'll see you again in the next one.